do that? Hey, would they do that? How you come? Would they do that? Would they do that? Would they do that? Hey, would they do that? How you come? Would they do that? Would they do that?
So, Farm. So I know we talking about we was talking about finger chatting and the influencers. We can get back into that because it's heavily influenced turf dancing. What people need to know is Pharside, you got a name, you going in your world. In the turf dance world, you're not on. What was your first experience with turf dancing?
The first experience with turf dancing was like probably like 16 years old, 15, 16. It was at Limelight. And a bunch of people from the town came down.
Limelight, you got to get context.
Limelight was an 18 and under nightclub in Sunnyvale.
And most perfect club, man. Everybody went there from Limelight.
Everybody. And this is when Noriega, Sean Paul, Busta Rhymes. This is when like hip hop was at its finest. Like it was crazy. So yeah, that's pretty much what everybody was battling to, right? Was like to Give Me the Light and to like Nori music and Busta Missy. Like that's just what it was. It was dope. Because I don't think at the time, well, matter of fact, I know for a fact at the time, Bay rappers, it had like a decline. It was like, there was like a hard 90s gangster rap type of, pimp hustling shit. And then it declined and Baby Bash was hot.
Yeah.
And that was
Baby Bash, man.
That was a dope experience, man, to see. But I remember battling people at the club. I remember I was battling people at the club. But here's the thing, though, back in the day, Turfn, and I think, again, going back to the cultural thing, right? Turfn wasn't a battle dance at first. It was like a social dance. Like people would just get like lit in the club and be in the circle. Like they were like sharing the moments in the cipher. And you might, if you did battle somebody, the two moves you only had was fucking the Kamehameha where you hit somebody. And then you would just throw the shirt over the other person's head. Like it's like some Harlem Shake shit and they throw the shirt over the head. Like it was like, bro, there was nothing to it. And then if you did glide, or if and mind you, this is like the very beginning parts of shirt. If you did glide, it was just like you was just hitting it. It wasn't really like a thing. It was weird.
You heard it from us. We called it hitting that shit. What did he just say? You bam, you shake it, bam, boom.
Or you say fucking with it.
Gigging, but I think back in the day, and here's the thing, even whatever I was doing, that's what it was called. Didn't matter if it was popping, that's what everybody in the club, in the culture, we all just said the same thing. Didn't matter. And that was kind of like that was just the dialogue, but that was my first experience, you know what I'm saying? And who was my past, bro. Shep. I was already, don't get me wrong, I was already in, all I did was go to black college parties, black clubs, black anything, because that's where all the dancing was. Where the fuck else was I gonna go? Like it don't even make sense. But with Shep, it was like he really put me in these areas, some scary ass areas. But some areas that really like made me understand everything, bro. Like what Turfn really, really was. And you got to mind you that like Turfn, again, as I was coming up, Shep looked like a real turf dancer. There was nobody was doing anything else. People who had fucking beanies and peacoats and fucking jabots and white. Right. That's what real turfers look like, but Shep looked more defined. There's a difference. There's some people that was just hitting it. And mind you, this is way before hyphy movement, just so we're clear. This is before hyphy movement. With Shep, he looked more defined. He looked like he would practice, which is not very what's the word? And it's not common. It's not common. I was trying to become a professional dancer. So when I would see Shep and I saw Shep dance, I was like, oh, he practices. Oh, that's interesting. And so we connected, and Shep, I remember Shep, we would meet at Bart and I would go to Shep's house and he would pull out the VHSs and he would show me Turfn. And he would just school me on these things, bro. And he would like really, like, it had nothing. It was weird, bro. It's so hard to explain and reiterate, but it had nothing to do with dance. It actually had to do with culture.
Yeah.
I think that's the part that a lot of people are missing. That you
Mhm.
know, there's times when me and Shep would just hang out, or we would go to a party, or you know, I mean, almost everything got shot up, but it was all good. But every time we was there, it was like, you know, the lingo, the vibe, the energy. Even the females would turf. It's a social. It was a social thing. Everybody would hit it. Everybody was doing something.
Everybody know how to bust a move, do something.
Like, not to cut you off, Pharside, it was more like even when like we had like this little language too when we would walk up to other people that did gig or hit it, you know what I'm saying, or fuck with it, we'd be like, "Can I get a dose?"
But it's true, and I think what was so dope, you know, going back to Dage, right? I think what was so dope is when we went to we was in the East, we was in East Oakland, and you brought me to the first Maniacs rehearsal. And,
Yeah.
and you know, and then like, you know, you start to introduce me to everybody. And when I met Dage, I was like, oh, Dage was like, I fucking know you. You know, that was like,
Yeah.
like I was like, oh my God, I know you too.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, even but see, here's the thing, right? And I'll go back to Dage being how influential he was, right? It's like, you know, this is just a side note, but it was like Dage never wore anything that was similar to everybody else. He had Marilyn Manson shirts and skinny jeans on before LA was doing it. Fucking so like it was just what it was, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, I think overall the cultural thing was a really big, and it was super influential for me because, you know, that's what I don't know how to explain this. That's where the essence is. That's where the heart is. That's where the soul. It's not about.
I wanted to bring you around you know, because you know we did it in house parties and stuff like that, and it's a history behind that with the females and everything like that. And really, I'm very cultured in it. You know what I mean? So, like, if when Oakland cats, we go places and stuff like that, people will know us from Turfn. You know what I'm saying? Hitting it. You know what I'm saying? Get it right. That wherever we went, they say, "Oh, those some Oakland cats."
Yeah.
But to actually
Yep.
turf, you have to have came from it to understand it, because it was just a certain way, a certain shoulder shake how you do. Like, you know, West Oakland got their style, North Oakland got their style, East Oakland got their style. You know what I mean? So I wanted to bring you around rather than just saying, "Oh man, this turf and I know how to do it." And
that's show. Right.
Yeah. And then when you're around it, you could kind of see how people talk, how they move, the lingo, everything. You start to embed this culture inside you authentically. And then you come up with how you turn. If that's where you're going with it. But from what I know, man, I give Pharside Black the floor. But Pharside's always been a student of every source and type of dancing, crumping, popping, turfing, and you know what I'm saying? I was glad to show you around, man, and you know, give you the essence and culture of where we come from when it comes to turfing, man. And thank you, man. I appreciate you, brother.
Yeah, it was, for real, bro. You know, I love you, bro. Like it was one thing because it was like you and Pimp to me, you know, Boogaloo Pimp, y'all were like my older brothers, you know, and Pimp was like my older brother, you know, in life and with popping and, you know, very influential man. And then with you, it's like, bro, you was like my older brother culturally. Like you, like we would go to places, bro. And I'm saying it right now, you know, it's okay. But no, bro, you know, we would go to places and, you know, we would be with some real hitters, bro. And they give us that pass because we dance. And the pass, I was with you. And this was not. No one knew what the fuck Titan was. No one knew what the fuck any of it was. Like, on the block.
We gonna get into that.
You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So you know, I think that was the experience that I got. But the truth is, it was like the lingo matched the vocabulary of the body. The body matched the vocabulary of the music. It all intertwined in one thing. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't know. You know what it reminds me of? This is the best example. There's a lot of b-boys in the world, right? Everyone breakdance. It's an Olympic, but not everybody's from New York.
Yeah.
Right. So New York b-boys will say, yeah, you're a good b-boy, you're a good athlete, you could, but like the essence of b-boying is from New York. Like you need to know how New York walks, talks, feels, and like the sidewalk,
That's to the cardboard on the sidewalk.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, you know,
Yeah.
the way some people might wear their hat as a b-boy, it might be the way New Yorkers wear the hat, but you never visited New York, nor do you know the culture of New York for you to understand where the true essence of it. And don't get me wrong, I think that's always been an issue in dance, is to preserve the culture or the essence of it while still elevating and scaling the duality of both. So I totally understand, but you know, it is very important at least to just know the history of it. You know what I'm saying? Because you won't be able, you know, I'm not, I wasn't fully raised popping in the 80s, so I don't really know you know, Poppin' Pete or Pop Tart or, you know, their energy of like how the 80s was. Like I'll never know the smell of certain clothes or the style. You know, it's just one of those things, you know. So everything is technically mimicked, right? Like we get something and we try our hardest to understand it and mimic the style enough for us to get our own, you know.
Right.
So I get it, but you know, I'll be honest with you. One of the biggest parts that I think Turfn needs is it's the socializing part, bro. Like, you know, because doing it at the clubs and, you know, maybe they're going back to it. I don't know, you know, but you know, the socializing part of it, of like that part, bro. Like turfers used to be able to dance with females and dance on the side and then do the same style. Like, bro, you can't do what you're doing socially with somebody dancing wise. That's not, you know, it's a different thing. To me, it's a different thing. There are evolutions of it, but there's, you know, there's a foundation. That was the foundation.
So after we're at the point where you meet Shep, right? You dancing. Okay, you are more engulfed into the culture now, right? How do you feel? Okay, you see how turf dancing looks right now, and I'm just gonna be honest, right? How do you feel, or what do you feel are your biggest influences on the turf dance culture, and how do you think your style influenced the culture? And let's just be,
Well, so here's the thing: the Turfn, I was able to contribute a lot to Turfn when I was young, and that's based off of both you guys. You know, that was based off of Shep bringing me into the Animaniacs. That was me being able to be a part of something before it even blew up. Like that was also the blessing. This was before the hyphy movement. This was before E40 dropped his album. This is before anybody was hot, right? Like I even remember we went to LA and no one liked us.
Yeah.
The second time we went to LA, everybody loved us. It was like 9-day experience. And we'll get into those stories, but it's like you know, if it wasn't, and I'm saying this and just sort of clear, nobody was tutting in Turfn. I brought tutting to Turfn. I don't know how like that the common denominator. Shep is the turfer, Renee's the turfer. I'm the popper. I'm one of the best tutters in the Bay at the time, right? At the time.
Who learned popping and jumped in the popping world? Let's say this right now. What is you always used to tell me, Shep? You said your body is fit for this. See, Shep, what people don't understand, Shep has always been like this with me. And he never said nothing negative, but he'll be like, hey, I'm for this and for that. Remember, I was like, bro, I like that when I learned popping, right? Remember the group that was like, oh, no, it's going to mess up your turfing? He was one person that was like, no, I think your style and your body can fit that. He never hated it. He never, bro. And that's why me and you, I was like, I want to learn it. And that's why I was like on it.
So I'm gonna
yeah.
I'm gonna drop the bomb. But this is I don't even know if this might be an issue, but I'll just be hell honest. Look, I brought a lot of tricks and a lot of concepts. I'm a concept dancer, right? Like a lot of the concepts people do now are either came from me or came from MGF, whatever the case may be. But we were concept dancers. The difference is I would create the concept, and then Shep and Renee would remix it, and that's just what the fuck it was. And then Shep, it was like language, right? It's like I would say a word, and then they would take the word and then they would flip it and explain how to do it or how to say it in their language, and they give it back to me, and then I would try to do it. The cycle was really smooth. Okay, first things first, right? And I don't know who has the footage, but the first battle that I ever dogged everybody was at the center. We was inside the event.
But for the crowd to understand what center we're talking about, to give clarity, we're talking about the Youth Uprising.
In Oakland.
Here.
And this is also where me and Renee would help the youth with dancing. I remember I used to go there, help the youth with Renee and teach kids how to dance, you know, the troubled youth. But yeah, but you know, you guys put me on, we went in, and I think we battled Turfings.
Let me say this, let's real quick too. Sorry to
Yeah.
Well, yeah, absolutely. No, but that's true. He held help, and then he even took us to other like schools to help.
Was like, he taught me how to do. He's the first person to be like, "Hey, let me teach you how to A count so you can put turf dancing into counting," and got me and told me how to make the contracts to send to the schools to dance for helping others. And I started teaching in the schools, then I passed it down to the youngsters.
Yeah.
So this is why I always still will have an utmost respect for Jarrell for
and it was
teaching them how to use our talent to generate money in the community. You know, he worked for Bivens and them. He worked for Motown. Like, Jarrell is LA guy, and he had his feet going, but he had a good vision. But yeah, for sure, shout out to Real.
Yeah, so I remember we did the event, or it wasn't an event. It was just like, I don't know how the fuck. To be honest with you, I really don't know how the fuck it happened. I just remember we showed up, and somehow we were gonna battle, and it was like 3 of us versus like 6 people, and that was the first time I did my tutting patterns, like my combo, and we was blowing it up, bro. Like we fucked everybody up. You know what I'm saying? And then what's his name got on the mic, and then the old dude, what's his name?
Buddy. Oh, Buddy.
Yeah, and then he was talking about how like he was basically telling people about like just talking about troubled youth, because there was gunshots outside the event, you know what I'm saying? And it was so funny as he was talking about like don't shoot people, gunshots was happening outside. Yeah, it was wild. But I just remember that was my first debut, and everybody was like, oh, they're talking about him, this and that, and then we kept going back to the center and we kept battling.
Yeah. Oh wait, you talking about was that Buddy?
Yeah.
Talking about Buddy. What you talking about? There's footage online. It might be lost on YouTube, but we can probably find it, and I can. Yeah. Inside, and the things were closed. You guys, the camera's facing. You had a black shirt.
Nighttime. Yep, it was at nighttime. But you know, it was funny. The thing. Okay, so going back to the things I was lucky to contribute, and then the things I innovated. Right. So this is just being honest. This move,
magnet. We know because
a lot of people do that in Turfn.
Yeah.
Invented it. So that, you know, I was the one that put that together. And the joke was, this was a long time ago. This was when I was like 16. So 15, 16, I was already doing it, right? But the joke was that people were biting my moves at the time. And I don't remember if it was John or Josh. Someone said something that like, yo, you should make a move that's kind of stupid and see if anyone would just bite it. And they're like, you know, because everyone's gonna bite your shit anyways. Why don't you just do something? So we made this thing up. And there was this particular move that was in my combo. It was just there. And so when me and you and Shep got together, and I can remember the exact day, bro. This is how crazy it is. we was in the West, and I don't remember if it was at Renee's house, right? It was like a condo. Remember that? And we were downstairs. And we was just labbing, bro. And I was teaching you guys how to tut, and you were teaching me how to put it into turfing. Literally what was happening.
Nobody knew this though.
Nobody knew this. And so Shep, mind you, bro, and I swear to God on my life, nobody did this. Shep would just take them, like, instead of like doing I would teach him the concept, and I would concept, and he'd be like, just give me the move. And I'd be like, I'm trying to give him the concept. He's like, nah, just give me a move. I just want to hit something real fast. Shep would do is he would, shit you not, I'm telling you, I'm telling you, he would do the move, but before he did it, he would pick up his pants and get into this like position. That was the fucking formula that it was.
You know, it's crazy, Pharside, right? That's why history, right? Because even with me wearing the hat, you know, I'm wearing the hat low, right?
Yeah.
Now I'm
legging. Right? You a legging.
I'm just telling the truth. A lot of people don't know, because we all know this. We're humble and we don't say this, but when you can see it, you can see people doing stuff, and then it's like, oh, that's stuff. I remember, you know, And people don't know.
Yeah.
People don't know me even wearing a hat low to cover my eyes. I wore the hat low, right? And it was, even Price, right? Because Price, mind you, you remember, because I've always been really a football player, but I've been a student of, because Turfn go way back, bro. Like I got people I can talk about like way back, right? And I used to be a little bit not nervous to go out. I'm from Oakland, but like nervous to actually hit it because I used to be like, I was kind of more of a student, right? And the whole ideal of me wearing my hat low, like where it really covered my eyes up, first of all, it's just something I did. But when it came to turfing, I couldn't see nobody. So I didn't know what face expressions that I was getting or anything, but it made me zone out to where I just was in my zone and I could just see feet or whatever. I'm kind of just doing my thing. And then when I felt comfortable, I come up and then the facial expressions and all this other stuff come about. So yeah.
And you're right, and that's why going back to Pimp was the one that taught me my history, and when I would fuck with y'all, I just wanted to understand. Like it had nothing to do with moves, it had nothing to do with like the event. It had like it wasn't even fucking events, so everything just had to really be about cultural. And the truth is, I knew, this is a side note. I knew you and Renee were serious when I met y'all, and I knew you were serious because you were more defined than most people that I was battling at the club. You're gonna know. But when you talk about, again, side note, when you talk about like what you and Renee have done, you gotta remember that you guys were probably the first turfers ever to be in music videos. So we all watched Baby Bash videos and we were all into that. And so, the music, CMC, all that stuff back in the day. But it was a lot more defined. To be honest with you, you got to remember that those moves that I would teach you guys and how you were like, you were taking it and you were making it turfing. That's like I was the person that conceptualized the stuff for the turf culture, and you guys were taking it and you're really making it authentic. You're making it what it was.
Because that was
the bridge. Because
that was the bridge. Yeah.
You gotta make it your own. You can't just sit and just.
And I'm gonna let you finish. I want to say, because you was talking about Baby Bash, and I always want to give a special shout out to the Gorilla Pino, the Filipino man, Nump.
Yeah.
I always like Nump is something that's very key when it comes to the turf dancing movement and just turfing, period, and the bridge of turfing and popping. And because the first person I met that actually got us to get in these videos and stuff like that with the connections. So shout out to Nup, man. I forever will appreciate Nup. And man, Nup, that's my homie, man. That's a brother right there. I love Nup. So my bad.
Yeah, and going back to what we were saying about the stuff that we would do, you gotta remember that when we was doing flexing versus turfing, the reason why I battled Reem, the godfather of flexing, right?
The
reason why it was me versus him is because I had extreme influential things for turfing, and I earned that spot. It wasn't just because you knew me. It was like and so like that was the reason why even when I talked to Buddha, right? Buddha voted against me because it's like, oh, you're popping though. We had to basically give the 401. It's like I was popping, but all the moves that I was doing in the popping battle is turfing.
What did we call that?
First Oakland.
And Elisa and Jarrell Bay. Shout out to all three of them.
Yeah, and so so when we did the event, it was like Buddha was like, oh well, it's turfing.
Judge, hey, wait, who else was judge?
MC,
Mr. Wiggles. Buddha Stretch, Mr. Wiggles, and Hammer, right?
Yeah, so Wiggles and Wiggles and MC Hammer voted for me, and then Buddha voted. And it was, again, I love Buddha, so but Buddha was right. He's like,
Buddha, man.
Buddha's Buddha. Now, remember we live with Buddha. I'm on camera.
So
Buddha's pinned to my Instagram. So
so
Buddha for hours, bro. Buddha stretches, man. All right. Shout out to Buddha.
Yeah, so Buddha, Buddha was right. At the time it was like, oh well, it's turfing versus flexing, and you're popping, so that's why I did it, and I understand. I think he had to get more information out of it, not knowing that I was one of the main people who helped innovated turfing, or I was part of the culture, or one of the pioneers of that, the next generation, or wherever you want to call it.
Right.
So, but I think what was really interesting, and and I really mean this, though, I think the one thing that made me, before any of that got down, right? What people don't realize is that when we all became brothers and we was all doing these things right before the hyphy movement, you guys were the first turfers ever to enter all style gyms. You guys were the first turfers ever to show up, and people did, and you got to mind you, turfing at the time is Oakland. It's not people in San Jose weren't doing it. People were doing it. So when you guys would do the all style, no one really knew what you guys were doing, right? People were kind of like they liked it, and but they didn't understand it, because it wasn't it didn't hit that marker yet of like the exploitation of it, the commercializing of it, right? It wasn't a thing yet. And I think shout outs to both of you guys. I think that was like, that's bravery, bro, because you took yourself out of like a certain demographic of
And so I took a collective, to be honest, I took a collective of a lot of things that I've experienced and how to go about this. And that wasn't an easy task. And I'm not gonna lie, I think that was the first time I did things freely, but I thought too, though. You know what I mean? Like, how do I do this? How do I get the crowd? Like, it's a whole big space and all this other stuff, and you feel like a spotlight is just right on you. So that was a new experience for me. And so when you do look at the new modern interpreters these days, and what some of the platforms is giving these people, it's automatic now. That
it is, and I think that's what I'm trying to say is like there was a lot of things that culturally, you guys paved the way for. So it's one of those situations where it's like you guys came with, okay, at the time me and Pimp were like fucking everybody up in the Bay, right? So you would roll to the jams with me and Pimp. That was the past. People are like, oh, they fucking with these two, and these two are right. And then the vice versa. I'd be in the town, we'd be doing some crazy shit, and people be like, oh, white boy, white. People thought I was from West Oakland, bro. Oh, he from Ghost Town.
Hey, so I have one question for you, Pharside. I have another question for you, right? So, you getting this exposure. Now you in the turfing game, bringing the popping in. And by the way, man, thank you for bringing what you brought to the table and elevation of turfing as well. So what was your first because you was actually on MTV too, my block, right? So what was your first and, how did you feel and how did the going into parties and clubs and stuff like that, like how was that first exposure of actually just being on TV? How did that feel to you?
It was horrible. And I'll say this for the record so everyone understands, and this goes back to even my old behavior, right? Whether I used to say a lot of I used to say fool, I used to say blood, I used to say that word. I mean, I used to say fool too, and it's funny because culturally, here's the thing that I realized, but I didn't realize until later. As a matter of fact, I didn't realize for like the last 6-7 years. Times change, so you kind of get with the program. But my ignorance was really bad, and here's the ignorant part. It's crazy, right? When you're when you're a product of your environment, and that's all you know. It was Shep, and I was kicking with Renee, and we was in the town, we'd be at the clubs, and I'm telling you, bro, on my life, I really thought I was black. It was like I had a pass, bro. Like everybody gave me this pass because it was a cultural thing. Now, once you leave that and you go somewhere else, there's no pass anymore. And no one tells you that. No one tells you this, you're out of pocket, or oh, he's being weird, or there's a lot more, because they don't know you, right? It's only a community thing that it makes sense at the time, right? So when I hopped on the TV, it was like my behavior was already from like all the other things me and you and Renee did, right? So I was already up when
why you the villain on ABCD on America's Best Dance Crew. I had to just say this,
but yeah, ABCD.
That's why you were the
villain. And here's the thing, it was like, but let's be real. It's like before I got on ABDC, And I'm just gonna break down that the spectrum. One, Boogaloo Pimp and me were villains. We was fucking battling everybody and we was fucking everybody up. And Josh was the one that taught me how to have tough skin. Right. Without Josh Pimp, I wouldn't have had tough skin. I'm being, he was the first person that made me man up and he taught me a lot. Real one that made me. If you ever, and I don't want to blame Shep, but if you ever want to know why I got the hard exterior, Shep. Shep was somebody like I remember one time I always tell Shep this story, bro. Like one time we was in the club and this guy, he was deliberately stepping on my shoe. He was deliberately pushing me. And I again, I'm standing there and he just keep pushing me. And I'm like, and I just do this. I don't even push him. I just put my arm out. And because I touched him, dude turned around and he got in my face. And I can't hear what he's saying. I'm like looking at him. The dude's trying to like say some shit. And all of a sudden Shep just goes like right in front of the guy. And Shep whispers something to the dude's ear, and the dude looked at Shep like this, and dude was like, and Shep was like, bro, I'll fuck you up. Like he said something. The dude was basically bowed out. And Shep grabbed me, bro. Shep, I'm not lying, bro. Like this little brother, big brother. Shep grabs me and brings me to the corner and said, hey, bro. He's like, hey, if we keep going around these places, I'm gonna need you to not let them touch you. And I'm like, I go, what do you mean? He's like, if they touch you, it's because they're disrespecting you. Don't ever let a motherfucker talk to you different. Don't ever let a motherfucker touch you. I don't give a fuck. He's all swing first. We'll figure it out later. Like that was what it was. I was like, in my mind,
I'm pretty sure people know that.
Yeah, it was other ways that I could have said. Let me say this to the crowd out there. I'm gonna change.
Yeah, and here's the thing, you know, it taught me a lot. But here's the thing: it's like, you know, I got this, and this is being real. This is I don't know how else to say it. You know, it's like I wasn't used to anything else that wasn't realistic or wasn't real. If you didn't like someone, you didn't like someone. If you wanted to say something, you said something. If you wanted to fight someone, you fought someone. So that experience was what it was. So I didn't know how to change that the minute I got on TV. And I didn't know how to change my behavior as I got older because I had that mentality. So I veered away from things that I thought were fake. I veered away from, you know, maybe I was a little too honest, or maybe I was a little too vocal. I was too aggressive in the dance community. So people didn't know how to treat that, but I didn't understand that the dance world was not this world. You know, you know, transitioning in was rough. I was very rough around the edges, and I didn't know that I needed to change my behavior because of certain environments. I need to be more professional. I need to be have more humility, or whatever the fuck you want to case it be, depending on whatever the circumstances was. But what I didn't like, and I'm going to keep saying it, I just didn't like people fronting. I didn't like that because I learned from you, and I learned from a lot of people growing up that that's not what you do. You know, if you act exactly how you are, you know, present yourself. And so, you know, a lot of people in the dance world at the time, you know, even probably a few years ago, you know, it's like a lot of people just are not that. They don't come from that culture. They act like they do, but they don't. And that to me was it put a bad taste in my mouth. And you know me, it's like I'm just that type of person, bro, that like if I don't like something, I just won't fuck with it. Like I don't make a big spectacle about it. I don't fucking I don't. There's no way. I just bounce. That's just what it is.
Group shit start getting wild. You for sure was like, yeah, let me go back.
I've just always been like that, you know. And
y'all don't know, Pharside's an animaniac for sure.
Sure.
While he was, I'm gonna go start my own, and it's funny because that's when you got the studio in San Mateo. You started your own.
Yes.
You started AOV. I'll let you go into that, but that was.
And that's the thing. It's like I would just always jump ship. Anytime I thought things were just not what it was, I was unfulfilled. I would just jump ship, and I was used to it. But I think for me, even with the Turfn, it's like, you know, you gotta remember that like back in the day, or they gotta understand, or they could, or hopefully they could understand, is that, you know, we would go to LA, we would all be broke for no reason, go to LA and try to get a Crump versus Turf event, or try to like be in the club and you know, you know, it was a real one when, you know, can I tell the story? Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay. So one time, all right. So mind you, I haven't been to LA once. Second time I went to LA, it was Shep, and Shep said, hey, he's like, we're gonna van, and we're gonna try to go to this like Crump event, whatever. And I'm like, all right, yeah, let's go. And I got like $20 to my name. I ain't got shit, you know. everyone had a Metro phone. So
Yeah.
we was young and dumb. So we all hop in a van and we go to Los Angeles or we go to LA. Somehow we end up at at night we end up at a club.
Yeah.
We don't know. I don't ignorance again. It's a culture.
Yeah.
I don't realize it's an all Crip club.
Yeah.
I'm not used to it. I don't know. So we there early dancing and shit. And I'm like, I'm the only white guy again, just chilling and shit.
Yeah.
So the crowds are getting bigger or whatever. And then Shep was dancing with this female and Shep was hitting it. And people, mind you, again, before the hyphy movement.
Yeah.
LA people are just Crip walking at the table.
Yeah, they don't get down like that. Yeah.
They don't get down like, so they probably like, who the fuck are these people? So none of that. This is some
gang in it.
Yeah.
Shep trying to dance with this female, and this female like kind of like does like some mean shit. She like
yeah.
And I look, and again, they would not have happened that way, but in LA happened. So
yeah.
Shep's like, he thinking she playful. He's like, try to do it again, whatever. And she turned around and then she tried to hit him.
Yeah.
And
she did. Dude, if I could remember that, she did clock me, bro.
Yeah, she did clock you.
Yeah, I think I seen a white light.
Who was that guy? What was that? B2K? Who was the guy whose name that looked like B2K?
I knew you step on.
Yeah, step on.
Well, people don't.
Trying to help the situation,
Right.
but he grabbed Shep's arms to kind of like pull him back. But what happened because he basically put Shep's arms in a hold.
Put him in a compromising position.
Yeah, so his face was open. So the girl, mind you, the girl's not swinging like this.
She was
boxer. I was tripping out. So long story short, the whole Crip, and I say the word Crip, the whole Crip club bum rushes like 7 of us outside. Everyone was swinging. So this is the funny part. So we all get outside the club, and everybody goes, man, fuck this, go to the van, blah, blah, blah. And I start watching everybody go to the van, right? And I look and I see Shep standing right in front of the club, right? He just standing like, he ready to fucking take everybody. And I look at Shep and I look at everybody at the van, like going to the van, and I look at Renee, right? And I go, Renee, hey, if we go to the van, Shep gonna fucking fight us later.
That's exactly what he said.
He looks at me crazy, right? And I go, I'd rather fight the club than Shep.
I think it literally said this, Shep. You never do this. I'm looking at him because like, this is what you thinking about right now.
So I said, okay, we're gonna have to just do this. And then Renee's like, fuck it. So we stood there.
It's me, you walking back to
10 toes down, bro. We stood like the fight. And you would
see those was the good old days, man. Now, I want to say this to the crowd too, not fighting, like having fun, always fighting. We not promoting that.
No.
But these are the stories, man. They was the good old days, and just how things were happening.
When we were young, this was funny. It was one of those things where it's like,
hey, he looked at
bro,
me like,
I knew it was real, bro, when fucking Shep took off his shirt and he looked right at that Muslim.
Oh yeah, man.
That Muslim dude. It was like, bro, I'm from Oakland, right? He's like, I'll fucking air this bitch out or some shit. And all I remember, bro, was Shep went to, I don't know if he went to the car and came back, but he came back with something. Everyone scattered, bro. I jumped over like 4 fences. I was like, bro, I'm stuck in LA. I'm like in Long Beach. I'm like, I hope to God they find me. And all of a sudden I saw the van drove by and I hear far. He drives to the car. I was like, oh my God.
Hey, I just say this, man. If you know about me, you know what I'm saying.
But that was the thing is it was a brotherly love, bro. And there was just too much involved. And then anyways, what was crazy was we was coming back from that van trip, and I think that's when Daga fucking retired or some shit.
Yeah.
So, but what was interesting was when we got out of the van, the one thing, and again, this goes back to Shep, which is crazy, right? It's the one thing I got a lot out of with Shep was that he was so like seize the moment type of thing, right? I don't know how to explain that. So we was headed back from LA to the Bay, and he got a call, and that's when 40 was doing tell me when to go.
Tell me when to go.
Yeah.
Everybody was tired. Everybody was like, man, I'm going home. Everybody was tired. Shep was like, and I was tired. Shep was like, bro, he's like, go home. grab your clothes, meet me right back at bar. We about to go to this bitch. He's like, I'm telling you, you need to be there. I'm like, oh shit, all right. So, I went home, grabbed my shit, and we got into the fucking music video. We was there. And it was, bro, it was crazy.
That is true. That is true. I remember.
Yeah, but it happened every single time we was all together. It was like same thing when we was at Sean's house, and Sean was like, Keeks having the music video down the street. We walked down the street, and we were white tee, blue jeans, and Nike.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and it's good to see everybody, especially like, people like Gary too, it's good to see people still pushing. And I just remember we hopped into so many different things, man. You put me in My Block, the Bay, he was with the Federal. It was a privilege to be in a studio, but like, it was a privilege, man. It was awesome. Like everything, the whole experience was just, it really defined me. To me, it really, for sure, bro. Like it was one of the most pinnacle moments of my life. Like it just taught me a lot. It gave me a lot, but also taught me what not to do and look for and into people, or because if I didn't have that cultural, if I wasn't exposed to that type of shit and I wasn't like involved like that, man, I probably would be fucking with some fake ass people. But it was like it you, Renee, and the whole, just you being my older brother, like there was just so much that taught, bro. I can't even explain it. There was just so much history.
I think if you allow me, I think what you articulating is that when you kind of hanging around people that know how to be themselves, and that's authentic, you kind of could see what is and what's not. If that makes sense.
Yeah. And you and Pimp were the ones that really like, because Pimp was honest, bro. The one thing I fuck with Josh was that he was just an honest fucking man, bro. And he'll always be honest, but he taught me how to be like that. And, same thing with you. So I took that into the dance culture, but unfortunately there's so many different types of people that fuck with that type of culture. So it's just not the same. And I didn't understand that. I thought everything was the same. I know that sounds ignorant, but I could honestly say now I understand that it's not. And for, and again, the cool part about everything, witnessing Turfn and what Johnny, I think Johnny 5, right? Johnny.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Shout out to Johnny 5. Man.
Yeah, shout out to Johnny, man. So like I respect that kid so much, bro.
Yeah, me too.
He really trying to put Turfn on the map,
It is, bro. With your experience that you had with your groups, the groups that you created, things that you're doing now in all your groups, right? You see the turf in culture trying to kind of make a shift where you see the turf fiends having choreography, not even choreography, turf dance, let's say group movement. Okay. What is something, how do you feel, what is something advice you can give to the culture as you see them trying to transition now? You have BA that was just at the BET Award. Shout out to BA. Shout out to Turf Inc. and Turf Fiends. They're all just at the BET experience. Turf Fiends, they do halftime performances.
I think there's
so what would you say? Give us some advice to the culture for moving forward with now coming into the mainstream with group work.
Got it. So the first thing I would say is definitely want to be more professional. At the end of the day, professional.
I agree.
That's just what it is. You know what I'm saying? Don't have people calling you to come to rehearsal. Don't have people, don't borrow money. Just do good business. You know what I'm saying? That's a lesson learned. That's just overall. And relationships are more important than anything else. Build good relationship with people and keep a good consistency with that relationship. You know what I'm saying? Like whatever product that they're buying, make sure that's the exact product that they're going to receive. You know what I'm saying? It can't look any different. For the dance style,
aesthetically, the dance style.
Yeah, the style for dancing. Now here's the thing. This might be an unpopular opinion, but I want to say it because I think it always crossed my mind, but I don't know how to explain it. Right? It's like I don't think what's like his name? His name's Strobe, right? Is he a good the Tutter? Strobe, if you're listening, man, this is an unpopular opinion. but I don't want you to take it in disrespect. You're not a turfer. You're not a turfer. And I'm not trying to say it in a negative way. I'm saying it in this light. You're so fucking advanced at what you do that you could literally be your own style. I know that sounds.
Hey, no. That's
Hold on.
you. I'm sorry, bro, because even Intricate is getting to that, and I had to really see them at Crow, like, right.
But hold on, let me fit.
I'm sorry.
But and I'm not saying it in a negative way. What I'm saying is Strobe has invested so much time into elevating tutting, or to me, I can't even call it tutting because it's very
that shit. It's crazy.
It's elevated. It is.
Yeah.
It's at a level where Strobe, if you're hearing me, you could just make your own style now, bro. Like this could be a cultural thing where, like, you know, you can name your moves, you could develop your own foundation, and the world could follow you in your own, you know, like Tight Eyes and Miho, they make Crump and the Turfn. He's at that level. He's at that level where it, you know, respectfully, you know, Turfn has its own fundamentals and things like that. But to me, when I watch Strobe, he's just, you know, I wouldn't call it Turfn, but I would, you know, Strobe, if you're listening, give yourself permission to create your own style of dance, call it whatever you want, and promote it, because you're that fucking, you're at that level, bro, where respectfully, from a person that has been influential in the dance scene, I'm telling you, most OGs might not even say this type of shit, but I'm telling you, you can have your own fucking style of dance and it would blow the fuck up, because it, you know, if you're at the top tier, and this for anybody, listen, if you're at the top fucking tier, the top of the food chain of whatever you're doing, you have full control to make it into a whole nother thing. I'm telling you, there's some shit that he does, and I'm like, bro, no one in the world's doing it.
Yeah.
What happens is sometimes people elevate in a category of a dance, and they feel, and no disrespect to those styles of dance, but sometimes those people feel limited because they start to work within the boundaries of that style of dance.
Yeah.
That kind of makes sense a little bit.
Yeah,
right. Like, because popping's popping. So, like, you have to pop to be in popping. You have to house, and there's certain steps you have to do in house.
Right.
Steps you have. There's certain things you have to do at turfing.
Yeah, right.
Has their own thing, but in order to, Strobe's at that level where it's like he could have that as well. There's certain things you have to do in order to be in that style that Strobe creates.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because he, like, you know, but anyways, that's my perspective. I think that, like, if you could, if there was more permission and more separation between what that is and Turfn, I think Turfn could scale more, and I think that style would be fucking insane.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's my perspective. I you know, I just think that the kid has hit a level where, you know,
it's almost like saying, like, and I get what you're saying, because I think you really hit something with Strobe too, because I think Strobe is amazing, dude. Like, I think he's off the hook.
The best title in the world. I don't care what nobody says.
Almost like saying
that's what I'm saying. Like,
not even tight,
right?
It's this like,
but hold on, like let me give you from what I think you're saying too, right? Real quick. Like, you have Turfn, you have popping, you have Turfn, and then you have the combination of that. And then he's actually doing tuts. And me and Renee kind of came up with this back in the day. And you go remember when I say this, Renee, like, Turfn came from the block, popping, like blocking, right? Like, because you blocking, but
we don't say very shit. Yeah, I remember that.
Doing his own thing. So I think that's what you're saying. Like, he kind of has his thing when it comes to when he's doing the Texan or whatever.
He developed it so much that it's not even that anymore. Intricate is on that level too. They developed it so much that it's not even that. It's like they're on some. Remember when Shep, they used to say they used to say me, Shep, Dav, Sterling. They used to say we do that other shit. That other.
Yeah.
It's called now advanced turfing. That's what it's called.
Right. And here's the thing. The reason why I'm saying it, and I'm not saying that he can't turf, just so we're clear. I'm saying Strobe can't turf, and I'm not saying any of that. Theoretically, he's not a turfer because he does so much more. I just want that to be a clarification. It's not that he can't turf, is that he does so much more.
Exactly.
Just say he's a turfer.
Yeah, I get you.
Connecting, blocking, puzzling,
finger tutting. Yes, finger tutting.
Whatever. What I'm saying is, look at all these terminologies, and he surpassed all of them.
Yeah.
You're at a level where if you're not one of these, then you have to create your own. You're just at a level where And I'm not saying whether he wants to or not. This is all respect. Like I think he's the best. I definitely think he's the best. But you're that good where it's like, bro, make your own style. Make your own.
So hey, I heard it from Pharside, giving Strobe his flowers, man. And
Yeah.
I think that's a good thing coming from Pharside.
You know, and again, you know, Turfn, I come from Shep and Renee and even Seuss and even Dav and Sterling and Sean. I come from watching you guys turf.
Yeah.
You guys Strobe, like if Shep was to dance next to Strobe, would you say it's the same thing? But that's why I'm saying. And I think that's one of those situations where, and I mean this out of respect with Strobe too and Turfing, because I love Turfing. But you know, it's like popping. It's like I love pop.
Yeah.
I love popping. But at some point personally for me, I outgrew some things, and some things
Exactly.
that's not in this category.
Exactly.
Hopefully I can't do this and call it this.
Exactly.
I think something for you though. Once you started messing with, I'm gonna say 2 people, because you were at your penny of your popping, Chaz and Crystal. So when you start crumping and you start doing more like hip hop,
Yeah, choreo.
like, oh, you became a whole different person too. You're not a popper. You when I look like those 2 things, you're something that we can't even call it either though. But I think
and that's you're right. And I don't know. I'm a person that can dance. This is how I explain it. I'm a person that can dance and I can do these styles, but I am not that style. Like I can't do it, but doesn't mean I am only. Right. So if someone said
a lot of us are hybrids, bro, and hybrids, I don't like to say that word because it has a bad connotation to it.
Yeah.
But there's some people who are elite dancers, and that's because they can grab from these different areas as the beat's playing. And then that's something else, and it's like no title to that shit though. There's some people just got it like that, right?
There's some people that I wish, you know, and again, going back to Strobe, I think there's some people in the world that are just so fucking talented in what they're doing, but they feel, and I'm not speaking for Strobe because I don't know how he feels. I'm just saying in general from my own experience of what I witnessed, right? I feel like sometimes people feel like they have to categorize it to something that's already kind of established for people to respect it. But the truth is, I think we live in a generation now where like you got to remember all these OGs, whether it was Turfin, whether it's Poppin, everyone created their own style based off of just them making some shit up in the garage, right? It came from something. So what I'm saying is, it's just like, you know, whatever style that you do, if it doesn't look too much like something, or if it's an elevated version of it, I feel like, you know, if you're determined and not responsible, but if you're determined and okay with it, you know, I think giving yourself permission to create a structure and foundation within what you're so talented at, you could share that with the world even more, you know. Because right, you know, I 100%, let's be real. I haven't been in the scene in a while, but I could bet you money. People steal from Strobe. They probably jack
Haley.
But so if they're gonna jack your moves, you might as well make those moves foundational. Make it foundation for them to learn, because they're going to steal from you anyways, brother. So, you know, I think that's in that perspective. I think that's for all dancing. I think that's just in general, where it's a very sharing, giving culture, especially when you're always sharing your moves and stuff. But anyone that hits that level of innovation, you know, you know, and again, you know, going back to the Turfing thing, I think it's that also. I think that's why I like Gary a lot, because Gary, at least to me, even actually iDummy too. I think Gary and iDummy look like what I'm familiar with Turfing. There's a vibe to it. There's an energy to it. There's a certain bounce. There's a certain, like, it's just what it is. So I automatically could categorize it as that. And then when they want to create from it, they're not like veering too far away from that style. But I would say that, like, you know, for me, it's just what it is.
I look at it when it comes to Gary too, and shout out to Gary too if you listening out there. Shout out to Gary, one of my faves out there. And for me though, like, right, and don't take this personal or whatever. And I'm just, you know, because I've always liked Gary, right? I liked it because I'm a turfer. I've always liked the old school Gary, like old school Gary was just like, man, he couldn't be, he was just turfing. You get what I'm saying? You could tell he just had that swag about himself. You know what I mean? So when I see him, I've seen him recently, Still look like Gary, but not the Gary that I know from back then. But shouts out to Gary, man. He doing his thing out there still. You know what I mean?
And you know, this could also have this also could be the fact that you know maybe there's not a lot of people moving like Gary, and that's his environment, right? But
Yep, yep.
But I you know I agree. I think that things change. I just you know for turfing, specifically turfing, I think that I don't. Oh man, this kind of goes back into the other story, but I don't know how you could um I don't know how you could keep the essence of the culture. And I don't know how, you know, because it's an Oakland thing, right? So now it's a Bay Area thing, right?
Yeah.
Now it's just what it is, you know. And so I think that's what the perspective is. I think that theoretically, if you could find, you know, and I think Johnny does a good job of that. I think sometimes just like events and cultural events and bringing people together, I think that also helps. You know what I'm saying? But to be honest with you, I just you know it's just defining yourself. Whatever you do, you know, do it fully and market that. That's my perspective. I think it's one of those things because right now Turfn is kind of you said hybrid.
Yeah, it's got a hybrid, but I like the way that the like I said, the turf fiends and BA and them are starting to take the turf dance moves and trying to remember I showed you some videos. I sent you some. And then halftime performances because you know the world moves in organization. They want to see, oh, you have a style. They want to know the history behind it to give it power and what does it look like and can you do it individually and can you do it together? And I think we finally hit all the marks. We have the history, we have individually people look good doing it, and now we're hitting the last mark together. But the world is trying to
And
see
then,
it more and more. But it could get sharper because that's one
and
thing you tell me.
I think that what Pharside saying too, like on a mainstream level, right? How does turfing, like its core, get represented? And I think that's what the bridge did,
Yeah,
right? Because you need that, and that's why I so commend the turfers today, right? And even what Johnny Five is doing, because it's incorporating the popping, it's incorporating the turfing, and you can see both of them, right? You can see them,
Right.
but this is the thing. People will be like, some people will kind of get frustrated. Well, you know, turfing is turfing and popping is popping, and you have to know the difference, and you not have to know how to combine them as well, too, right? To make it mainstream, but know what you're doing, too. You get what I'm saying? Just know what you're doing, know the history, like we're putting out there.
It's just what it is.
Yeah,
It's just you're right. It's exactly that. It's just history. Because what all we're trying to, I get it. Everybody wants to scale and get it to the next level, but out of respect for whoever was like the first turfers to ever start something, or even the first turfer to start dancing or hitting
yeah,
it.
yeah.
You're just if you're going to be in that. This sounds kind of crazy, right? But it's like I use it. I'm a little more. If I said it in business, maybe this will make sense. If Shep started a style of dance, right? Shep's style is his own intellectual property. That's his style.
Exactly.
It's his, right? No one else did it. It's his, right? Whether he was a shirt company, you know, doesn't matter. It could be any business he starts. It's his own IP. It's his own intellectual property. So is dancing. The only difference is that you share it with people, and
Exactly.
when you share it, they contribute back to the dance style, which elevates. That's what cool part about dancing is the sharing.
So I see. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go
So
ahead.
the only thing is to me, it's like you have to respect people's IP still. Like even though it's cultural and it became a cultural thing, it started with one person. Before it was a cultural thing, it was one person who started it. Now, if you could respect it and help elevate it and whatever,
Exactly. Exactly.
keep it within that structure or that, you know, that the aesthetic or the style or whatever the case may be. The minute it starts to do this, right? Because innovation could also kind of take you into another world. Also have to know when that is, and you also have to also listen to yourself and go, okay, I'm going further than normal. This would be.
Exactly.
So now I get to start my own thing. And then
innovation could be so innovative that it leads to deviation.
Deviation,
a bad thing. Deviation
right.
can be,
and deviation doesn't have to be like an argument.
And that's
Like,
that's
it
where
could,
that's see, and that's what turfing was all about, right?
right.
Being yourself, right? And something that came from you, what you seen, and how you your observation in the streets and whatever in the hood, and how you looked at things, and then you told your story, right? You
Right.
told how you view things in turfing, and when you go into the parties, and how hood and how much swag you had, right? So think about it, right? Even in Oakland, you got people. I'm not gonna use the word ignorant, but we could be people that just be into our own way.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
what
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
saying,
yeah.
right? The
Right.
individuality, right? So sometimes it's mind frame going into a mainstream, right? And trying to put things on a count, right? Or putting things to where people could see this. Just if you're talking about turfing, that's where the ignorance has to have more intelligence and understanding. Because how can you get all people that's so individual that they're trying to do counts at one time and they're trying to present this, but no one is all on the one, right?
Right.
It's a possibility that you can have a little bit more in a choreography of turfing, but it still has to be branded to the world towards more absorbable. Exactly. The bridging of that still has to exist. Everything has to exist, right? Because no matter what, we're still having our individualities, whether it's popping or whatever the case may be. It's just turfing when you look at it. And like I said, in the main history of turfing, like it's so small of things that you have to once again understand, go to the culture, be in a hood to really get that understanding, like we did with you, Pharside, to
Right,
really
right.
understand, like, oh, that's why Pharside is able to speak about this,
right.
because he understands this from where he come from. Once again, this is America's Best Dance Group. You know what I'm saying? Like a master choreography, a choreographer. So his intelligence and his experience, he knows what he's talking about, right? And so, and I don't think Strobe, because Strobe, I got a chance to kick with Strobe, and Strobe was going through some hard times, and I'm not going to take the floor too much. And he was going through some hard times, and it's good to see that brother doing some good things with himself. And I think that it's not him taking nothing wrong. I think that with how he would take it, me knowing Strobe as advice. Strobe is very humble, man, and very
I definitely agree. I think I
yeah,
don't know him, but I can say Strove is the reason why I'm saying it this way is because Strove reminds me of me. I know that sounds weird.
yeah.
He's just he's hit a place where not saying he's not getting better. I just don't want him. If I had an OG tell me back in the day, hey, you could create your own thing.
Yeah.
Like you're dope. It
Yeah.
doesn't have to be this.
Yeah.
I think I would have been even better. And I mean that.
Yeah.
So I the reason why I'm saying that to him is because I've deviated a lot of times. Like I've tapped into something, and when I felt like I was doing things differently than that style, I would just deviate. And I did it with popping, I did it with hip hop, I did it with turfing, I did it with choreography. I just kept doing it because I wanted to find my best interest and my best self in my movement. And he's so talented, and I'm saying that he's on that godly mode with whatever he does. But that also means he has the privilege to just make his own style up. It just be like, and when people have that permission and they don't feel like they have to answer, and I know that I'm saying this speaking from my experience, if you don't have to answer to certain cultures, then you have more permission to create more freely. If you don't have to be debating with people online, you get to put all that energy back into your creativity.
Exactly.
So I'm just saying in that light that, like, and this goes for any dancer who's hitting that level, I that's why there's always the same arguments that this is not that, this doesn't look like this blah blah blah. It's like, well, then don't claim it. You know what I'm saying? Like if you're hitting at that level, be your own self. That's my own perspective. But if you do claim that you are this, and that's not goes for Strobes, goes for anybody, right? If you are a popper, if you are a crumper, especially like in those styles, right? Then like you have to kind of be under those guidelines respectfully, because there's a history that came before you that like spent years developing it, so to speak. So that's my perspective. I think whatever turfing is, I would love to see, my personal perspective, I would love to see the real turfers that are OG, the real old school ones, mingle with the new ones and pass more knowledge down and go through the vibe check of training and working with each other, and no, and I'm saying this for both sides, no egos, no weirdness, no none of that, just sharing so the whole culture itself could elevate, you know, because I believe that the old Turfn has the essence, but I believe that the new school has the talent. It
They
is.
do.
They're very young, talented kids that are very ambitious, and they got the juice. But imagine that with the essence of what once was. I mean, fuck, you know, the shit would just fucking elevate. I think the reason why Crump elevates is because you have OGs and pioneers and creators still
Yeah.
sharing the essence, and still Ches does an amazing job.
Let me.
Yeah, wait, because we about to come. We've been well over like 2 hours. I don't. And remember we have another video we did. I still edited.
Oh, okay.
We'll do like 20 more minutes.
Yeah.
What do you have? Well, I'll keep this short. I just wanted to ask you this, right? Because I felt we was getting to that, and it was more like ending questions and stuff. So, what do you have coming up, Pharside? Like anything you have coming up, like that you're doing or anything, or you know, if you got something quiet that you're keeping quiet or whatever. But what do you got going on?
For me right now, man, I think it's hard to explain. For me, I took a leave of absence of dance. You know, I felt like I did everything I needed to do with dance.
Oh, yeah, you.
Yeah, I still tap into with my brothers, and I still work with people. Right now, I am doing exactly. It's funny. I'm doing what I'm trying to tell Strobe to do, but I'm doing it in more in art, live art, a graphic design. So I pretty much freelance my creativity, and you know, I work with different clients, and they work with me, and I just help them on like elevating their brands, elevating their businesses. So that's really where my mind's at. But to be honest with you, man, I kind of just been on this like relaxed retirement phase and just enjoying my time here.
Yeah.
You know, being with the wife and just, you know, loving my life, man. I've never had downtime before where like I got to like just be.
Yeah.
You know, everything's always been up. Everything. We always moving, always doing something.
Yeah.
You know, this is the first time in my whole fucking life I get to just like enjoy it and just
Peace, man. Peace,
eat.
bro.
You know?
What about them fits behind you, bro? You can't just not talk about the fly coach that's just in the background.
I'm gonna say this. Look, soon enough, you know, I'm gonna pop out, but it might not be exactly what you think it's gonna be. And that's it. That's the secret. Again, you know, we got obviously us three got plans, so it's gonna be crazy.
Wait, hold on. I don't think they know how crazy that's gonna be, but we go.
Yeah, and you know, and again, you know, shout out to the culture, man. Shout out to everybody still pushing, still trying to inspire people, still trying to move the movement, whatever the case may be, man. If you're still doing it and you still got love for it, that, you know, much love to you, man. That's all that matters.
Most definitely.
Oh, I respect you for coming through. This is what y'all understand is this ain't gonna be his last time, bro. Like you see Chef B, bro, we gonna rotate. This is not far. There's so much stories we could talk about that
Crazy.
Gonna come with other guests when we bring people on because other stories gonna come out and they don't know this is just an introduction for you, bro.
Yeah.
I appreciate you having Chef always, bro. People love when you were all day, young Chef.
And I want to give a shout out to MC Hammer. Then I wanted to put this out there too, you know what I'm saying? Because in our communities, as we told our stories, we grow up a certain way, right? You know, gun violence, have kids, young man, women too, as well as being molested. You got people that been in foster care homes and stuff like that, drugs, it could be etc. Right? And we don't have this safe space, right, to talk, right, as we're doing right now. And I wanted to shed a light on that, and I wanted to shed a light on somebody that's actually and you know, because you get people that's actually entrepreneurs and they're doing a lot within the community, and they don't get their flowers as much as they should. And I think this person is getting his flowers nowadays, and I like what he's doing in the community. And I wanted to spread awareness on mental health, right? So I want to give a shout out to Fabi Davis and Thug Therapy. And I wanted to let everybody know to go to his page. And you can, I think he do it like either twice or once a month. I don't know. But you can go to his page and you can check that out at Fabi Davis Jr. One, that's spelled FABB DAVISJR and the number one. So check his page out. He's always throwing up posts, but getting in depth about mental health, man. Because I mean,
especially during Men's Mental Health Month.
Yeah, because even with us, man, we talk and we congregate and we assemble with each other, man. And you know, it's times that I could depend on these two brothers right here, man. I could call them a council of other people that I can sit back when I'm kind of having some things on my mind, because I'm always in the know, but I'm not too I'm not egotistical to not talk to somebody, you know what I mean? And I have the right people around me that hold accountability. But always remember this too: when you're dealing with mental health issues, right, you have to be willing to receive that as well, the information that you're getting. And you have to be able to trust someone that you can talk to. And some people may feel they can't trust people to talk to. And I've been there before. So I just wanted to shed a light on what Mr. Fab is doing. Y'all check him out, man. He's a wonderful dude. I actually went to high school with him. And we're gonna share positivity on people that's doing positive things in the community, and that should be highlighted through anything, right? So his name is Mr. Fab, better known as government name Stanley Cox. And once again, his Instagram page is Fabby Davis Jr. One. That's spelled FABBY DAVISJR and the number one. Y'all check them out, y'all.
And just to touch bases on everybody to close out, my best advice I could give everybody, man, is life is short. You gotta do what you love and be around the people you love and be around people that love you. You know, I think there's a saying, and I really want to say this because I love this quote, man. And let this quote be the, let me see if I can find it. This quote is so what's the word? Moving. So it goes, so this quote's pretty dope. It says, "Did you find joy in your life? And if did others find joy in your life?" I think that quote right there is really important. Where it's, yeah, man, where it's about, you know, you enjoying things in your life, but you know, you want to make sure that people around you also enjoy you. You know,
That's more that's more important than you enjoying things sometimes.
sometimes. And you know, whatever it is, man, whatever you do, just make sure you do it with you know, love and respect, and just, you know, yeah, man, you know, life is short. No one is granted tomorrow.
Yeah.
There's no need to stress over the little things. There's no need to uphold friendships, relationships if it's unhealthy. There's no need to do anything if it doesn't make you happy. That's it. And I say that for everybody in the world.
We could agree to disagree, right? And sometimes some people might just don't vibe with each other, and some people outgrow each other. It doesn't mean hate has to be the core of.
Yeah.
Whenever you share time, enjoy the time, enjoy the relationships with people that you do have and that you run into.
And everything is an experience. So, you know, you want to make sure that you understand that, like, you will disagree with people. You have different opinions about politics, religion. You just see a lot of segregation, you know, with so many different opinions and different energies. And I understand that. I understand. Totally. But I think it's like, in the end, when you're on your deathbed, you won't care about none of that. You see what I'm saying? So, like, always look at life like, oh, this is the best quote. This one's even better. Check this out. I saw this shit and I was like, damn. So if a man said, okay, I'll give you, Renee, I'll give you $50 million. I'll just give you $50 million. You would take it, right? Right? Everyone, oh shit, $50 million. Hell yeah, I'll take it. But if I said, okay, I'll give you 50 million, matter of fact, I'll give you $100 million, but you die tomorrow, would you take it?
So what's important?
Everyone would say no, right? But that means your life is more important than $100 million. So every day you should be living your life like it's worth $100 million, because you chose that life over the 100 million. So I think that's where my mind's at. That's where my mind's at, man. No money, no fame, none of that shit matters. All I care about is love, peace, and just, you know, enjoying what I got, you know.
That was smooth. Let's give Renee the closing now. But I do want to give one more shout out to one person, man, because I know we mentioning our names because we don't want to forget nobody, because everybody as a collective had a lot to do with this culture and this, you know, this good vibration. I want to, because I always want to give a shout out to MC Goddamn Hammer, because his name is not mentioned a lot, but I do want to give him a shout out, man. And me and Renee got to meet him before. I think with your dad, Mr. Neil.
Yeah. My uncle used to sing for Hammer back in the day.
Shout out to everybody. Shout out to all the Bay pioneers, all the people still putting in the work, all the newcomers. You know, all in all, everybody just wants to elevate the Bay Area.
Exactly.
We all got the same motive. We all got the same reasoning. We all want the same thing, no matter if it takes different ways to get there, but we all want the same thing. So much love to everybody and what they're doing. Utmost respect, man. I love y'all, man.
Appreciate you. We appreciate you for coming through. We appreciate you in the culture. Like I said, it's not gonna be your last time here. Of course, y'all see more of us, more of Chef. Condolences to Fraj, the wet. We lost Neem a few days ago. Oh, I just wanted to end on that note. Shout out to, like I said, Get Wet Fries, the whole family. Prayers to everybody. And that just ties into what you guys were saying about, we gotta love on each other right now. You never know how much time we have, right? So I appreciate you for coming, Chef, of course, for coming through. Our culture, Turfn community, as OGs, this is what we do. We're trying to bring more light through this way. It's not always through battling and do who's Ross and who's that. Sometimes that for us, we outgrown that, and you try to find new ways to push the culture forward and people, right, and be good influences. And I think this is a good thing that we got going. This is why we keep it going, though. You remember?
Yeah, and
nobody paid for this. Yeah, we don't get paid for this, but we continue to do this. Go ahead.
And just so all of us, it's all experience, right? So none of it's right. We're just all talking out of our experience and hopefully coaching each other to make things even better. That's just what it is.
Because the best thing is to become the better version of yourself, and always remember.
Amen.
Become the version of yourself, and remember that, and be receiving of.
You can end on that finger. I was like a dare finger, a scruff of a glove. You.
Remember that you said that in the army.
I love y'all, bro. I
love you too, bro.
Oh, yeah.